All right, everybody. So I am making my first YouTube video for cooking, and these are not going to be fancy videos. These are just made to be short tutorials, nothing fancy. And today we're making camarones a la Diabla, which is means shrimp of the devil, excuse me. So basically it's super spicy shrimp in salsa. And then I'm also going to be making just like a traditional white rice with some mixed veggies in it. So the ingredients that we're working with are, these are called chile guajillo. I have 6 of them. These ones are called chiles de arbol, and these are super spicy. I'm using 8 of them, but you can pretty much use whatever you want. Like if you're not a spicy person, I would relax on this amount of chile arbol. We also have chile chipotle and adobo. I'm going to be using 2 of these. We have 4 Roma tomatoes, a chunk of white onion that we'll slice into pieces and use just a little bit of it, 6 cloves of garlic, salt and pepper, and then I have 2 pounds of shrimp. I usually only make half of this recipe, like for 1 pound of shrimp, but since it was such a good deal, I'm making 2. So I'm doubling the recipe for the salsa, and then I'm also using juice of fresh lime. So to get started, I have some water boiling. I'm going to go ahead and put in the 4 Roma tomatoes into the boiling water and cover it with the cover that I don't have in my hand right now, and let it simmer until they're nice and soft. And I'm also going to get 4 cups of water boiling on this side, and I'm going to go ahead and add Nor Suiza to the water, which for all of us white folks who don't know what that is, I didn't know either until I married my husband, but it's chicken bouillon made by Nor, and it's used in tons of different Hispanic recipes. Like they use it as seasoning instead of salt in a lot of things. So I'm just going to be reading the measurements and putting in however many teaspoons it says for 4 cups of water. And then once that comes to a boil, I will add 2 cups of rice and then 1 or 2 cups of mixed veggies. So let me go ahead and get that rice measured out, and I will be right back. Alrighty, so I'm sure you don't need me to tell you how to make rice, but in this pot, like I said, so for the 4 cups of water, it's actually 1 teaspoon of Nor Suiza per cup. So I put 4 cups of water and 4 teaspoons of Nor Suiza, and then 2 cups of rice, and then I just threw in whatever I had left in the bag of these frozen peas and carrots. I don't know, it's probably like 1.5 cups or 2 cups. I don't need to add any salt because the Nor Suiza is salty, so I'm going to return this to a boil, cover it, and then simmer it for 15 minutes, and then turn off the heat and just let it chill while I finish up the rest of the stuff. And then in the meanwhile, while the tomatoes are boiling, we need to go ahead and peel and devein our chiles. So I've done one because I don't have like a hands-free camera and I'm not like a fancy YouTube person. So basically you just cut them open and you remove, there's little veins all inside of here. So you remove those and all of the stems. And then once that's done, I'm actually going to take scissors and just cut them into like little ribbons. And then we're going to toss them in the water to steep with the tomatoes for a little bit. Okay, so I just tossed in all the chiles, and as you can see, the water is like semi-clear right now. The tomatoes are still pretty solid, even though their skins are peeling. So I'm going to go ahead and recover this and let it continue to boil. And when we take off the lid next time, the water is going to be pretty dark because these chiles actually are going to start rehydrating. And a little bit about them, these ones, the guajillo, are more of a mild chili that is like used for like building different sauces. And then as I'd mentioned before, these arbol are like super duper spicy. So like I said, you can totally tailor this to your own taste. Like you could probably even use, like different chiles if you want. This is just the way that I know how to do it. And I only know how to do it one way because I Googled it on the internet because my husband is Mexican and I wanted to feed him things that he would like. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and start getting the onions and the garlic taken care of so we can blend the rest of this salsa before we start cooking the shrimp. Okay, so I've got all the sauce stuff ready to go. The person who I learned how to make this from measure things in like really bizarre ratios. So it's not like a cup of onion or half of an onion. It's like literally like trocitos, which is like slices. So it's 2 slices of onion, like this, white onion. I'm going to toss that into the blender. 2 of our 6 cloves of garlic are going to go directly into the blender, whereas we reserved and minced 2 more. I am going to juice the 4 lemons directly into here. And then I'm going to add 2 chipotles in adobo. And this is a little tip of mine. I mean, nobody ever uses the whole can of chipotle when you're using it. So whatever you don't use, like, don't throw it away. You can totally freeze them. So that's what this is. These are just, I think the brand is La Morena, chipotles in adobo. And I just took them out of the freezer and they're fine in there. So I'm going to put 2 of those in there. And then we can check on our tomatoes. They don't look done yet. They were like big fatties, so I mean they're almost there, and as you can see the water is starting to darken from the different chiles. So as soon as these are done boiling, I'm going to add them to the blender with the rest of the ingredients, strain out these chiles, and then we're going to take some of this water here as well and use that to continue to blend it. And then to further season it, as I almost spill it all over my floor, I'm going to add about 2 more teaspoons of this Nor Suiza as the salting agent. For those of you who don't know what, chile chipotle looks like, this is what it looked like. It's a smoked jalapeno, and it smells kind of barbecue-y, saucy, and it's really delish. So I thought I would add my 2 cents on that. As you can see, the water is like a deep red. I've already taken out the tomatoes and most of the chiles, and I put them in the blender. I'm going to have to run this through a strainer to get the rest of those out because I'm like a genius and don't have a slotted spoon. So I just wanted to show you what that looked like before I went ahead and pulled those out. There's already a good amount of liquid in the bottom of this, so I won't be adding any more water to it. And then I'm just going to throw it on the base on liquefier puree for literally 2 whole minutes because, as I had mentioned, these were dried chiles and they were rehydrating, so we want them to be really finely blended. And then I've also washed all of my shrimp, and I've checked and made sure that they are actually deveined and peeled because sometimes there's like some funky poo-poos that get up in there, and ain't nobody trying to eat no poo-poo. So make sure to check out your shrimp. And then after this pot is empty, I'm going to go ahead and wipe it out, reuse it, put it on a medium flame, and then throw in, I want to say maybe 2 tablespoons of butter. You can add up to 4, but as I've mentioned before, I'm on Weight Watchers and I'm not trying to throw a shitload of butter up in there. So I will go ahead and get that started, and I will be right back. Alrighty, so I have the 2 tablespoons of butter melting over medium heat, and then I'm adding in those reserved 4 cloves of garlic that we had minced up from before. You just want to get them going in there for a second, like till you smell the garlic, because garlic overcooks really fast, and if you overcook garlic, it is bitter and it don't taste good, and we're not trying to have that. So in the meantime, our rice is done. As you can see, I shut it off, turned the heat off, and it's just chilling over there. So now I'm going to go ahead and pop these shrimp in. This is a lot of shrimp, and like I said, I usually just make like 1 batch of this, like for 1 pound, so I definitely should have used a larger pan. Yay me. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this stirred up, and then we're going to cook these just until the pink starts to come off of them. I don't know how your family likes shrimp, but we actually like them a little bit on the well done side. Because that's just the texture that we prefer. So we're going to cook them until the pink comes off of them. If you like them a little bit less well done, you can cook them until they're semi-opaque, because we are going to strain over our salsa, which I have blended over here. So I'm going to go ahead and get these all cooked off, and then I'll be back when we're going to run it through this colander to strain off the solids. Alrighty, so these shrimp are about the right color for our family to start adding the salsa. Because I used a really small pan, like I had said, like these shrimp started to steam a little bit more versus like browning. So that's why there's more liquid in the pan than I would prefer. But it's all good. I'm not going to dump the liquid because we have our garlic in there and our butter, and that's where extra flavor comes from the sauce. So I'm just going to leave it on really high where it's boiling like this. I'm going to stick in this colander, or strainer, I guess is what some people call it. And then I'm going to start pouring in the salsa because it's full of solids. So basically you're just going to jiggle it like this until the liquid starts coming out of the bottom, and you're going to actually pass the entire jar or jug, blender thing, mabobber, through this until you've done it all. And then continue to simmer it, and I will be back after I do this because it's really hard to do this with one hand. Ladies and gentlemen, so I have go ahead and I have go ahead because that makes sense. I went ahead and I strained off the whole liquid. So this is what it looks like. This is a little bit on the thin side right now because, like I said, I didn't use the right size pan and the shrimp let off a little bit too much liquid. So I'm gonna raise this up to a rolling boil and simmer it until the salsa is a little bit thicker and it coats the shrimp better than it is right now. And just to show you, this is what the solids look like that actually come out of the salsa. And these are any seeds that we missed because we didn't remove the seeds from the chiles to our bowl. And then any solids left over from the skins of the chiles, and you don't really want to eat that. So that's why it's a necessary step. And then, as I'd mentioned before, I'm going to be serving this with white rice and some tortillas. And then earlier in the week, I had made some refried beans in my Instant Pot. So we're going to have that rice and beans with our shrimp. And as soon as this is boiled off to the correct consistency, I'll let you guys see what it looks like. And excuse me, because we've got two very unhappy twins crying in the background. But I don't know if you could tell in the video, the sauce has... Jeez. The sauce has thickened up nicely. And I'm going to have to put you on pause for a second. Alright, so that's halfway controlled. But as you can see, the sauce is thickened up nicely. After this cools down a bit, these will actually be really nicely coated with the salsa. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish warming the tortillas. I'm heating the beans up, and that's me, in the microwave, and I'll get everything plated up. Most of the time people serve this with like a salad with their rice. And also you might be wondering like why we're eating white rice instead of like the traditional arroz rojo. And I don't know what the deal is with that, but this dish is traditionally served with white rice with veggies in it. So I'll be back after we get it plated up because I've got to get these hungry girls their food before they lose it. Alrighty, this is what the finished dish looks like. I've got it all plated up, and we'll go ahead and finish up this video because we have some unhappy children. Anyways, that's it.